Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about the things that have changed my life by moving to Thailand from the United States. Now, first thing on the list, it feels like a fresh start. Moving all the way over here to Thailand from the United States, I mean, that's about as far away from the United States as you can get. There's everything new, meaning everything that you're used to is different here, and it just feels like a nice fresh start. You get to meet new people, you get to see new things, you get to try new food, the list goes on. So I was going to say one of the things that really changed my life is enjoying this brand new fresh start at my age. I'm 54. And it's a breath of fresh air. It can be a little bit nerve-wracking at first, but once you start to get used to it after about 2 or 3 months, you really appreciate the change. Another thing about moving to Thailand, it's a lot more relaxed. I like to always say it's a little bit like Jamaica, if you've ever been there. It's just a little bit more relaxed. Everything's not so uptight, and people are not as big a rush as what I was always in the United States. So it's a slower pace of life, and it's not too slow. It's not to the point where you're like, good grief, come on, let's pick up the pace. It's a nice, happy medium, but it's a big change for me, and I believe it's impacted my life in a positive way, and I really do enjoy the slower pace of life here in Thailand. Now, another great thing that's changed my life here is enjoying the weather, the hot weather year-round. Now, I enjoy the winter as much as another person, but when it was winter time, I always stayed indoors. I'm from South Carolina. It's not like we get snow, we can't go out and play. It just got cold, and it usually was overcast and rainy. So for those months in the winter, I would stay inside more, gained a little bit more weight during those winter months. But here in Thailand, it's warm year-round, which allows me to go outside and do more things year round. You can keep exercising, keep running, keep cycling, whatever your hobby is, you can get outside and do it year round, which is a wonderful thing in my opinion. So I love motorcycles, but I never had one in the United States because I like the smaller motorcycles. Now, knowing that, and United States people, you're going to know exactly what I'm talking about. What's the first thing you think of when you see somebody riding by on a really tiny motorcycle like a moped or a scooter? What's the first thing you think of? Yeah, they got a DUI. That's the first thing I would think of as well. So the last thing I wanted to do was buy a small scooter or something like that in the US, because everyone would have assumed that I lost my driver's license and I got a driving under the influence and my license was taken away. However, here in Thailand, it is a motorcycle culture, and I can enjoy a small motorcycle here. I have a 125cc. It goes about 55 miles per hour or around 90 to 95 kilometers per hour. And I enjoy that thing to death. Now, would it look a little bit strange riding that same motorcycle in the United States? Absolutely. Could I keep up with the pace of traffic? No. So I really do appreciate being able to have a motorcycle like that here in Thailand, where there is a huge motorcycle culture and smaller is okay. It's actually the norm here. Now, another thing I've really enjoyed that's changed my life here is enjoying new sights, new tastes, new sounds. So you get used to the same old, same old. I mean, yeah, I traveled around the world and around the United States, but for the most part, I lived in South Carolina, and for, well, 95% of my time, I stayed right there in South Carolina. And it is nice to wake up in the morning here in Thailand and hear different birds that sound different. I'm like, oh, that's pretty. I've never heard that before. That's unusual. New sights, places I've never seen before, and just awestruck at some of the architecture or the nature scenes that you can see here in Thailand, or even the smells of new food. I mean, you know, you walk around the US and you're not shocked by some of the smells that you smell, because those are the kinds of foods we eat. You come over here to Thailand and there's new smells. Some are good, some are not so good, but they're new smells. And it makes my life, I would say, life more interesting. And Thailand's also changed my life because it really makes me appreciate what I have. Now, I've never been rich. Done okay, but never been rich. But when you come to Thailand and you can see the poor here in Thailand, you see what poor really looks like. And when you see that, you really start to appreciate what you do have. So that's one thing I really enjoy about living here in Thailand is the appreciation that it gives me. It makes me appreciate what I have. Another way my life changed by moving here to Thailand is being able to easily avoid dairy. Dairy and I don't agree. I love it, but it doesn't love me. And in the United States, it's hard to get away from dairy foods. Cheese, milk, it's just about in everything. And boy, does it taste good. I love it. No one loves it more than I do, I don't think. However, living here in Thailand, the food's cooked. It's different food. It's cooked a different way. And they don't eat a lot of cheese here, almost not at all. And they don't have a lot of dishes with cow's milk. They do, but just not a lot. So it's easy for me to avoid those kind of things. And it's one of the things I appreciate about living here in Thailand. Now, another thing that's changed my life by moving here is that there's less stereotypes. Let me give you an example. Not one that I've done, but I'm going to give you an example. Let's say I woke up in the morning and I decided to wear a purple and pink Hello Kitty shirt and just walk through the mall in downtown. Nobody would look at me funny, except maybe an expat, but nobody here would look at me funny. They wouldn't even give me a second look. The stereotypes just don't seem to be here. You don't feel like you need to dress up to fit in or anything like that. If you want to dress down, dress down. Nobody cares. You want to dress up, dress up. Again, nobody seems to care. So I really enjoy that about living here. Another one on my list is I feel more safe and secure here. Now, I felt safe in the US for the most part, but let me explain what I'm saying. So in the United States, you got road rage, things can just go down on a dime there. Everyone seems like they're all jacked up and on edge. At least that's the way it's always seemed to me. Here you don't see that. Everyone's a little bit more relaxed. So there doesn't seem to be any of that here. I'm sure it is, but you just don't see it as much. And the reason I say things seem safer here as well is if I was in the United States and I had a motorcycle, for instance, I wouldn't leave the keys in the ignition and go into Walmart. I'm just not going to do it. I probably won't have a motorcycle when I come out. However, here in Thailand, if I left my keys in the motorcycle and was in a store and remembered it, I wouldn't even worry about it. I'd take my time, come back, and the keys will still be in the ignition. So yes, moving here to Thailand makes me feel more safe and more secure. Another way my life's changed here is it's allowed me to do more fun things. Let me explain. Because the cost of living is lower here in Thailand, whatever your hobbies are, let's say it's cycling, let's say, well, fill in the blank, whatever your hobby is, if you can do it here, it's probably going to be a lot cheaper, which means you can do it more. If you wanted to try something new, a new sport, then try it. It's not going to be as expensive as what you would normally pay back in the US. So it gives you the freedom to do more things, try more things, and do it more often. Another thing is the vibe here is more relaxed, which has really changed my life. It's made me more relaxed. In the United States, we're always go, 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 go. And that's the way I felt all the way up until I moved here. And I kind of felt like that for at least 2 or 3 months. And then I started getting used to the way things are here. I like to compare Thailand to, let's say, Jamaica, where everything seems a little bit more laid back. It's laid back here, but not too much, not to the point where you're like, good grief, nothing gets done. It's a good medium. It's just more laid back than it is in the United States. And if you're wanting to come here to slow down a little bit, I think you'll be very surprised. Now, I don't live in Bangkok. I live in Chiang Mai, which is all the way up north. So I don't know what the pace of life is in the big cities such as Bangkok. But Chiang Mai is the second largest city in Thailand. And I find that the pace of living here is a lot slower than it is in the US. And the last thing on the list that's really changed my life since moving here is I get to meet a lot of people from around the world. Again, I come from South Carolina. Yeah, you can meet a foreigner every now and then, somebody, let's say, from Europe or from Australia, but it's few and far between. When you live here as an expat, somebody who's, a foreigner here in Thailand, you automatically see other foreigners. Your eyes are just drawn to them because they're not the norm here. And you say hello and you get to meet some of them. And a lot of people that I meet are from other areas than the US, and it's a breath of fresh air to meet so many different people from all around the world. I've really enjoyed it. I've met people from Tahiti, I've met people from Europe, I've met people from Australia. The list just goes on and on. So it is one of the advantages, I think, about moving here to Thailand. Well, I have some shout outs. We've got a couple of people who have donated to the channel. I want to give my appreciation to them, and they contributed on Buy Me a Coffee. There's a link down below. Before we go over that, if any of you are planning on moving to Thailand and you have questions about getting here, and if you think that I can help you with that, you can schedule a one-on-one video chat using the Buy Me a Coffee link down below. So first of all, we'd like to thank Shayna H. Shayna H gave on Buy Me a Coffee. Thank you very much. And also Scott B. Scott B scheduled a one-on-one video chat. So we'd like to thank you very much, Scott. So if you've liked the video, if it's helped you in any way, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing. We'd really appreciate it. If you do feel so inclined, buy us a coffee. We'd really appreciate it. And don't be afraid to look at our merchandise store. There's a link down in the description. And until next time, Kap Kun Kap.